Welcome, everybody. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we publish world-changing wellness books. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited because this interview is part of a powerful series to celebrate Brave Kids Books, a new imprint from Brave Healer Productions. The mission is to share brave words with kids all over the world so they can learn about all of the magic life has to offer. And of course, we're sharing our words with their parents as well. So here today to kick this off and talk about her books, Designed to Shine, Read Aloud Rhymes for Any Size Heart, Volume 1 and Volume 2 is Joy Resor. Welcome, Joy.
Thank you, Laura. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So let me tell you a little bit about Joy, you guys. Joy Resor shines in Western North Carolina as an author of inspiring books, a spiritual mentor, and an Alliance of Divine Love minister. A frequent guest on podcasts, Joy's grateful that she's no longer hiding and that she's left ego behind to do her soul's work. I love that, Joy. So tell me the story of how the idea for these children's books came about.
Oh, thank you. I am a little different perhaps than many other authors. My process is mine. And how these came about is because when I was in my 30s, I wrote a prayer every day for a really long time to become the joy I am created to be. So I didn't have an idea of books I would write. My books arrived for me. I believe I am who I am, and these books want to be here through my heart and my hands. When I started writing the first one, it was in my journal one morning. I just started writing, attention, attention, pay attention, you. Today, da 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 da. And I got to the end of it, and I went to my computer, and a B rhyme came, and it's balance, and a C rhyme came, and it's change, dance, extra, forgive. I wrote 7 rhymes before I realized what I was doing. And I'm like, oh my, I am writing a children's book in rhyme that will speak to the children and to the caregivers. And somewhere along the journey, I saw in my mind's eye that adults actually put down their devices. They hold their children in their laps, and they are sharing. They are having so much fun. The children are learning lessons, and the parents are having aha moments.
I love hearing the story of how the rhymes came. So can you show us the books? So for those of you on YouTube, you're going to be able to see this. And of course, if you're listening to the audio, I love the, and you had an illustrator. Is it
Yes.
Lauren Connell? I think I can read that.
Yes.
Nice.
And she is the niece of a woman in my town, because I also didn't say, but I will say, my rhymes might feel a little Dr. Seussy to readers. And I felt like an energy had descended. And I learned at a psychic event from a psychic that I am in the same soul group as the man who was Dr. Seuss. His name was Ted Geisel. So if we're connected to everything, I'm not surprised that this happened for me, and for the readers especially.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, hearing you say soul group gives me goosebumps. Okay, this is such a very perfect way to ask you this next question that I have, which is, so one of the things I had always wished I had earlier, like as a kid, or maybe I had it as a kid but lost it along the way, right? Was a stronger connection to my intuition. I wished I had known about terms like that and that whole spiritual world a lot sooner. But how was this for you growing up? I'm curious.
Hmm. I I was raised in a dysfunctional home of a lot of raging, perfectionism, door slamming. What this did, and a sister who told me I didn't belong in the family. So it made me go really inward, Laura and watchers and listeners. I went inward and I went upward. I feel like I connected within and to the God of my understanding as a kid. So I would climb a flowering apple tree and commune with who my God. I would sit on a rock as a teen and write poems and believe that my life would get better. This connection I had, this very personal connection to divinity, I would say. And then what that reminds me of is when, after my divorce, I had what I call a post-divorce, I had post-divorce relationships. And I lived with this one man. When we had a conscious breakup, he said, "You don't have to move out. I'll move to the lower level and we could continue living here." When he took his chaotic vibration of clothes and papers out of the bedroom, I could breathe again into what I've always been able to do, which is a personal relationship with everything that I don't see. So I just know, I have known for a very long time that I'm connected to everything I don't see with my physical eyes. And there are layers of that because I also didn't belong within myself also. So, and I was visited by divinity in 2011 who said, "Separation is an illusion, Joy." So what I wanted to say, that when that man took out his chaotic vibration of everything, and I connected to everything, I received my first book. And that it wasn't the Design to Shine books. It was divinity saying to me, "Joy, write a book and use the lessons of your life to inspire readers." So that became my first book. Um, but about intuition, when I was in my 30s, I remembered that growing up as a kid, I pulled something down every morning. I was having the same dream, pulling down. And in my 30s is when I remembered what it was. I would write something that would add to the peace in the world.
I love that. Thank you for sharing those pieces. It's really interesting for me to understand, process how people got to where they are now, how those things happened. Everybody resonates with different pieces of all of the stories that we have, and your very unique voice and the way that you tell it. So I appreciate that. What do you think is the most important message we can share with kids right now?
Oh, you are so loved. That,
Yes. Yeah, it's short, sweet, and powerful, right? And I think
yeah,
for kids who are in situations where they aren't feeling that from their immediate environment, it's really, really important to get it to them in other ways.
exactly. I wrote poems. There's a poem I read to my mother's cousin recently because it was about her father. And this poem, the lines in it were something like, I endured car sick miles through 3 states to sit in his lap. So I got this occasional real love from faraway family, the love I wasn't feeling. I was a real self-nurturer as a kid. I knew my parents loved me, but their actions didn't connect with that. that. So yeah, we need to love ourselves, and that is how we bring love into the world.
Well, I think a lot of us are taught from a very early age that we can only get it from outside of ourselves. We're wanting it from everybody around us, from our parents. And it's not until much later that we really learn about loving ourselves and why that's so important. And I wonder what would happen if right away we taught our kids, okay, you can feel this love anytime, and this is how you give it to yourself. This is how you do it. But we weren't so good at that. So I don't know that we taught that very well, right? But that's the whole idea of this series, you guys, and the books that we're putting out for kids and their parents, is to help with these ideas and help start these conversations. What else did you want to say about that, Joy?
Just that my books, they don't come out, well, I think there is, I was going to say, they don't come out and say, love yourself, but they probably do. They probably do. And the B rhyme in the second volume is called Believe. May I read this rhyme?
Yes, please. Beautiful.
Believe in the goodness which lives inside you, no matter who says it's not really true. You're stardust on earth with beauty to spare, created from love that's meant to be shared. So lift up your chin with the light that you shine as you smile deep inside, breathing joy so divine. Believe in dear you. You are who you are. Your gifts and your talents will help you go far.
That's beautiful. Oh, you know what I love about these kinds of, well, what rhymes turn me on too, because I'm a fellow poet and love rhyming poetry. And always joke a little bit about the rhymes sometimes that move through me that sound like "'twas the night before Christmas" and all through the house. It's just it's that kind of thing. But it brings me back into that kid energy, which is awesome. But what I love about what you just read is, if the parent is reading to the child, the parent is getting the message for themselves, that inner kid that needed that message so long ago, possibly. And then they're verbalizing it to their kid, who of course is also receiving, right?
Yes, and this is what I've learned about. I knew that these books that came through my heart and hands would not not just speak to children, but really brings a beautiful gift to the adults. And then to have people saying, oh my gosh, my inner children are so delighted with these books. And I have adults buying them, believing that a child might come and visit, but then realizing, this makes me feel better. This
Yeah.
makes me feel lighter. I think these books really, that my words have a healing quality for any person, because I have been brought through so much healing in my own life.
Yeah, the energy has shifted and you're infusing that energy into the book, so it's received. This is also such a big part of the mission that I have, to write books like that, that come from that place of healing. So listen, watching my own two kids grow up, I always worried about doing everything right and saying the right thing, acting in the right way. I think great parents have a certain amount of awareness around this, no matter how they were brought up. Parents who have been healing have these awarenesses, and that's amazing. So how do you think we can be better parents?
By doing our own work. And I know that in my own parenting of two wonderful men, my sons are 36 and 33. And my 36-year-old is actually in town this week from California. So I had my first visit yesterday, and I'm going to have more. But I know that I did it was my intuition to parent very differently than I had been neglected and raged upon for falling down and all these things. All the things that happened to me, I was aware enough to understand that there's a different way to parent. My husband also helped with that. He's like, Joy, waking up with your kids and making them breakfast is really being a good mommy, because I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
I woke myself up and made my own breakfast and packed my own lunch and came home with a key around my neck. I mean, an astrologer said, Joy, you were neglected. And I never framed it that way. I just felt like mom was verbally abused and she was living in her head. But I raised myself, but to raise my children, and for parents, we need to heal what we can heal. And then the other thing I would say to parents is presence. Can you not always tell your child things? Can you allow the space where you're putting down your devices? You're turning off the ringer on your phone. You are simply being with your son or daughter, because being with allows anything and everything. And it could be a shared silence that you both need. It could be your child saying, oh, thank you for just being with me. They might climb up on your lap. I mean, I know that the presence my mother-in-law gave to my children when I was a frenetic new mother who was nervous, I noticed that gift. She calmed my very anxiety-driven son down. A calming, loving presence can calm down any person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the calmer you are as a parent, the bigger gift you are giving your children. To not be wigging off when something happens, to say, oh, let's breathe into, because breathing, I don't have problems. When I breathe and receive solutions.
I love that. This goes for everybody, like Joyce said, not just your kids, not just the kids around you, for all humans. And actually, since I said humans, it also goes for animals around you too, because we're all energetic beings that can feel and feed off of what's happening. I love listening to you talk about that. I think you hit on one of the most important things that we do to be better parents, and it's really about presence and our presence practice, right? Um,
It
yeah.
could I say one memory that just popped in, and bless my dear deceased parents, because I love them so much. But when I was in third grade, I came home with a note that I needed hearing, that for my mother to sign, that I needed hearing and speech therapy for my R's and my S's. I was wed-wobbling, and I couldn't say them. And I knew how much that embarrassed my mother, who was a hearing and speech therapist.
Mm.
She never saw me. So she was in her life not present to us. So excuse me, I just
Yes. Really, really
Mhm.
interesting, right? Okay, so this is so perfect though that you brought that up because this is what I wanted to ask you about next. One of the biggest aha moments on my healing journey was the realization that my parents were doing the best they could with what they had, with the upbringing they had at the time, right? And it took me a while, like into my adult years, to get to the love and forgiveness stage. But and when you know better, you do better. So I try to move into my own parenting and actually all of my relationships with as much of that kind of knowing as I can, that kind of awareness. Does that resonate with you? I know it does. How did it play
Yeah.
out on your journey?
Yes, Laura. So for me, I definitely held a lot of anxiety and angst about my parents until I ended up with an accidental energy healing one day, because I'd been getting in car accidents, because I was having the wrong thoughts like, I always get in car accidents. Well, yes, I always get in car accidents. So I
Did you manifest that siren?
apparently, apparently, um, so I called a friend. I'm like, do you have any idea what I could do for my ailing back? And she sent me to another friend. I knew of this one. I didn't know her tools or modalities but I trust my friends deeply. I went to this woman named Marilyn. She had me go into the treatment room, and she gave me a pink quartz crystal on my belly. She invoked all the unseen entities, the gods, her God she believed in, art. And what I saw was myself as a sad, wounded child, with parents unable to give me what I needed. Then I saw my sad, wounded parents with parents that I saw them as children with parents who didn't give them what they needed. I then saw the entire lineage. No one in my lineage as a child was given what we needed from the adults in our lives, the parents. And then my heart, compassion just bathed my heart, and energy started streaming from my fingers. I realized it was negative stored energy from the lineage in me. So I got this immense energetic healing that day. I apparently had been a storehouse of a human, because probably that is probably passed and passed down in lineage until someone heals. I just got goosebumps because I healed the lineage of the angst of this thing. And I loved my children, differently. And yeah. I'm sorry, did I answer the question?
No, that's
Oh,
just that's
oh.
amazing to think about. Go ahead.
So then when I would be with my parents after that, I didn't get a stomach ache anymore.
Mm.
And I got that forgiveness and compassion for them to allow them to do the things they did, their antics, I would call them, because bless my parents, they were characters, beautiful, beautiful characters doing the best they could.
Yeah.
And how my compassion and forgiveness for them did grow. I was probably, I don't know when that I do know exactly when that was. So I was in my 40s, because it was after a series of car accidents. And the gift of that I could then visit them. They lived away from where I was, and I could pack earplugs for the loud news programs they blasted with their hard of hearing ears. And I could pack workout clothes to go out of the house and take walks. I could pack some of it was self-care, and really I learned more how to love them more and care for myself more at the same time.
Yes, pretty profound journey, actually. Something came up as you were talking about that. It's just a question I'm going to ask the readers, the listeners. I'm thinking too much about my books right now. If parents gave you everything you needed from the start, would you be who you are today? And what if it was all meant to be perfectly imperfect? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what, right?
I have, if they gave me everything I needed, I have no idea who I would be today,
Of course.
because I know that being named Joy and being raised by these dear souls gave me a lifetime of lessons and healing, and the gift of now shining and writing books for other people. And if all that hadn't happened, I don't know. I don't know.
Who knows? It's a big thing to think about, you guys. Joy, thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with us.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. It was just a pleasure to talk with you about everything we did. And I wonder if you would like to pick an alphabet letter, Laura, that I could read. And
L.
L. Do you want love or lose or both of them?
Oh my gosh, read love, and we'll wrap up the show with this. This is so perfect.
And lose is actually, it's all positive.
I know. But how could I not pick love? I mean, come on.
I know. There you go.
Gorgeous.
From kisses at bedtime to squeezing your gram, love touches your insides, sends hearts to Shazam. Love offers you gifts like a fluffy white chick, or cuddles you tighter at night when you're sick. Love shows up as action in words and in smiling. It rises at dawn without even trying. Love loves you, no doubt, how tall you will grow. Love's happy you're you with your magical glow.
Thank you so much. I had to pick L. I knew it was going to be love. Don't ask me how, because I haven't seen Joy's book yet. And L for Laura, of course. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Joy. Listeners, please explore the show notes. Okay. Go down below, find Joy's website, which is joyonyourshoulders.com. And I also have her Amazon link to the books there for you. Okay, so you can pick up a copy for yourself, for a kid, your own kid, maybe a gift for somebody, maybe someone who needs a Brave Kids book, right? And to chat about your Brave Kids book idea, visit us on bravehealer.com, schedule a chat with our publishing team. We would love to talk to you about your idea. And lastly, remember everybody, you were born so you're worthy. Your message matters, and you'll change the world when you're brave enough to share it. See you next time, everyone. Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome. Thank you, Laura.